Squirrel Gaming. So hello, and welcome to another Magic the Gathering Arena video. My name is Chris, and today I will be taking you through a Theros Beyond Death draft list. A draft that I just played, and as you can see on the screen, it is a mono black list, and it was a lot of fun. I've been playing a few drafts today, and I thought, I'll pick the best one and show it to you. Originally, this draft was going to be blue-black, as you can see by all the blue cards in there, because we picked up 2 Thassa's Oracle, as you may be able to see, and a Thassa's Intervention. But then later on, I picked up 2 Garys, and all of a sudden thought, maybe this deck has enough to become mono-black instead. And I thought, yeah, let's do that. Let's go mono-black, because I thought it'd be a bit more fun, and I wanted to try it. And so here I'm just thinking about what my last cut will be. I think it ends up being a Piper, but we'll see. Yes, I am recording this after the fact, and that is why my face is not on it. It was an aspect of Lamprey that we cut finally, but I enjoyed this draft a lot, and you'll see why. Now, you'll have to excuse the client for being a bit laggy in these first 3 games. I did reset the client afterwards, which then fixed the issue, as it often does. But you can see in our hand there we have many good black cards. This is obviously a very good starting hand. Agonizing Remorse, it's always a good card, and we start out very strongly in this one, as we do in most of them here. Actually, I've got my notes down here just to remind me of what happened in all of these games. But this one I think was quite an easy win. This is one of my favorite cards in Theros Beyond Death, particularly in Limited. The Horse Boy, it's so good for the escape, for the damage it does. People don't really want to block it. And my opponent here, as you'll see throughout this game, had a bit of a problem. And their problem was that they didn't really get too many creatures. They had the Phalanx there. They had a few enchantments, and they get rid of the horse, which we will end up bringing back, I believe. But you can see that basically he just didn't have enough stuff. He sort of ran out of steam pretty early, and this is a theme we will see throughout the process of this whole run. Temple Thief is good because there's a lot of enchantment creatures in there, so it essentially a lot of the time can act as a 2/2 unblockable. Here he was obviously holding the Phalanx Tactics, so you don't want to block with both. So I just blocked with the Piper because I didn't think it made too much of a difference. Maybe that was a mistake even blocking with that, but then we get a nice little drag to the Underworld top deck, which helped us immensely, I might say. I think I blocked with the Piper there to get more cards in the grave to get back the horse, because I knew the horse could easily win us this game if it ever got out again. But yeah, this game isn't the hardest game because our opponent kind of got stuck on one creature. We wait to play Dragon to the Underworld to see what exactly they were going to play, so we then kill his one creature, of course, which left him with none, and then we discard as well the Mogis. Really good card, because it's unlike a lot of other cards, it can sacrifice itself and still draw a card, as we utilize there, which stops him from scrying as well. Now, of course, we did just draw a bunch of lands, so we attack with the Temple Thief, and then we get the horse out again. And as I say, this horse is such a good card. And yeah, he had seen enough at that point. Was that an early concede? I had a 5/5. He would have had to probably draw removal. And so we're straight in to the second game. And this is something that I'll do. These first couple of games were quite simple wins, so we'll just probably skip over them because there isn't too much to talk about in the aftermath. But as we go later on, there will be some time to discuss what went on in the game, as I made some mistakes that you'll see, or they were particularly interesting games, and we can talk about what the opponent might have done differently. This one, though, is quite an interesting game to start off with, as he plays the Underworld Ragehound, which of course is an insane card to start off with. and he's putting a lot of pressure on us right now. So I think I decided to go with Elspeth's Nightmare on the 2/2. I could have played the horse, but of course that doesn't help us in blocking, and at this point, all I wanted to do was try and survive. I could have also played Inevitable End, but I thought he would still put on too much pressure, even if I put it on the Hound. He would have probably just sacked the Spider and then the Hound, but now he's going all in. He gets the Hound, he attacks with the Spider as well, so we're only on 10 already. And so what I decide to do now, as we realise he's got only 2 lands in hand, is to go for the Inevitable End on the Hound, knowing that he'll probably sack the Spider in any case, but we just have to hope that he doesn't find another creature, as we know he isn't holding a creature. And we play the Soul Guide Lantern, which will become quite relevant in some of the later games. So yeah, we see he sacks the Spider. He's obviously hoping to just find another creature and potentially kill us. But lucky for us, he does not manage to find such a thing. So we survive another turn, thankfully. We exile his Spider away. And now we come to some pivotal turns, I will say. So I actually go for the Nyxborn Marauder here, because I'm thinking myself about how much damage I can do, and I also want, if he's got removal in hand, such as the one where you sacrifice a creature and deal 5 damage, I want that to go on the Nyxborn that, is a 4/3 rather than the 3/3 Death Touch, which I might need to stay alive. Now, we're about to see the turning of the game, because we are going to draw one of our cards that's called... I'm sorry, I can't quite see that. What is that card called? Anyway, it's the one that discards Aspect of Lamprey. It's the one that we got rid of, our last card to get rid of when we were creating the deck, but we kept one in because it is a good card, and we eventually decide to enchant it and get rid of his final land. Most importantly, give us lifelink. Now, there is an interesting choice here. Do I want to attack or do I want to keep it as a blocker? My own thinking was he can't kill us this turn, probably. So I wanted to attack because obviously if he draws removal, then he's obviously taken away our chance. And he just picked up this little 1/1 to add mana, which obviously wasn't too big a threat. And then we see a great little man, Gary himself, comes out, and that's the reason I ended up going mono black instead of blue black, was simply because Gary is a good card. I know that the original Gary was a common. God knows how powerful that was in draft. I imagine everyone just forced mono black, and it was just who found Gary and who did not. But now we have the Death Touch down as well, which obviously limits him. But you see how big the lifelink was there on the 4/3, getting us back up to 10 health. And now we shall see once more lifelink again being pivotal. And yeah, we just sort of ran away with this game because of the lifelink. But you will see something with this lantern, which is going to be a talking point in this upcoming draft. I think lantern is a fine card with all the exile that goes along, as we decide to play the horse and the little 1/1 Grim Physician. But yeah, I don't mind lantern. I think it's okay, but this is something that I perhaps didn't quite understand at the time, being new to the escape mechanic. I thought that in response to him choosing to escape his little hound, that I could exile it out of the graveyard. Turns out the way it works is he's already cast that card, so you can't just exile it out in case you are willing to make that mistake like myself. Interesting here, I decided to go for the attack first because I thought maybe he won't block and give me a chance. He ended up blocking completely the wrong thing though. I don't think he read the card for Physician, because obviously that did end up killing his hound anyway. But of course then we just end the game with a good old Gary, and I wish they would fix this. I wish it would sort of say you have 2 devotion, but you will have 4 with Gary. I understand you could say it should be on the player to know that and understand that, but it just seems a little, when you say Gary has 2 there, your mind will automatically think, oh, it's going to do 2 damage, when of course it will in reality do 4 damage. So off we go with this game. This one is a classic Magic the Gathering game, because what's going to happen is we are both about to get Magic the Gathering. And you'll see what I mean. So we obviously did not draw a land. We did draw a playable card, which is nice, but we didn't draw a land. And you will soon see, neither did our friend. I did decide to block because I thought, I get the go anyway, and those death touches can be a pain. But again, yes, we did get Magic the Gathering. I'm saving the Maya's Grasp ability though for something a bit more problematic than a 1/1, though we will see soon enough that no such thing really arrived. And yeah, so we're both just sitting here on 2 lands. I think he was playing green-black in this game actually, but I eventually find my 3rd land, and he's gonna shoot over a good game here. That made me laugh. But yeah, and I did think about sending one back, but I didn't want to actually send one back, because anytime you send one and you lose the game, you deserve to lose the game, really. You make yourself look like a bit of a fool. But we're in a pretty decent position now, and I think at this point I do decide to Maya's Grasp the 1/1. I thought about making him discard, but then obviously my thinking now was I reconsidered, because obviously he's got loads of cards in hand anyway. He's probably got a bunch of cards that he can't even play, that he's nowhere near playing, so there's not much point in making him discard. I'll wait till he gets the small things out of his hand anyway, and then make him discard. So eventually went with that, and then he did find a land there, which made me a little nervous, because I just used the Maya's Grasp on something that was probably pretty useless. Well, not useless. The 1/1 Death Touch is a nice card, but we get to get rid of his 2 cards there in his graveyard, and Tyramet being good as well. Yeah, we got 2 Tyramets and 2 Garys, so that kind of made up my mind of, yes, we should go mono black. And now we are in a driving seat position. Of course, he missed out on land, but we're still missing out on land a bit, which in a monocolored deck is always the feels bad man. Now he did block there on Tyramet, but not to worry, because we have a flying unit. Excuse me. And yeah, we're right off. And at this point, I was feeling pretty confident that we could win, because we had the flying. We got the horse, who's obviously a big threat, and especially when he's playing stuff like that can't really effectively block any of our units. I was feeling fairly confident, and he didn't let this through, which was a bit of a shame, because I wanted to win with Gary right there and then. But instead, I decided to go for the Death Touch as well, and pile on the pressure, basically just to sort of end the game. I just love ending the game with Gary itself rather than anything else, and he plays Funeral Rites, which obviously meant the closing of the game. And so there we were, 3-0, riding high. But it will not continue that way, and this is the beginning of our downfall. And you see the lantern there. Oh, that lantern. That smile, that damn smile. And that's what that lantern represents here. We're playing against Anthony, and Anthony was playing a nice little deck. He was playing a white-black deck, I believe, as I check my notes. Yes, playing black-white deck, which used the graveyard a lot. And so I'm hoping that you can maybe see where this little lamp is going to come into play. So we got off to a strong start. We got the horse out on turn 3. We got the lamp down, and we're feeling pretty good. He's plays this Favored of Aronis. I'm thinking, okay, yeah, that's fine. We can inevitable end that. That's fine. We're good. We got plenty of removal in hand. I did. Some of you may have noticed the mistake though, because when he played his first land, it was a black land. It did offer him to play something. Now, as far as I know, the only thing that, when there was no target on the board for him to say use the enchantment that gives something +2/-1, the only thing that I was thinking he could then play was Omen of the Dead. And I thought that at the time, and for some reason it completely slipped my mind when I make the mistake that I do. Because that Omen of the Dead comes in pretty big. So he inevitable ends me here, and this becomes an interesting decision. What do I sacrifice? The horse is fine in the graveyard anyway. We can bring it back as a 5/5. But in the end, I thought, I was thinking about it long and hard, but I think I eventually did decide on the Mogus to just get rid of him, because I thought he'll probably be able to remove him anyway. So it's no big of a deal. We bring in Discordant Piper, and I will play my own inevitable end. Again, I wasn't too worried about this 2/2 doing too much to us, so I didn't really feel too much of a need to get rid of it with Drag to the Underworld. And he gives it a nice, and he gets rid of his boy there. Now, of course, that was an interesting decision as well. Which one should I put it on? Because obviously the Transcendent Envoy has flying, and my deck is one that wasn't playing too much flyers, but I still had removal in hand. Ugh, as I yawn again. Sorry. I still had removal in hand, so I was thinking, I'm still okay. We're still okay here. Turns out, no. It was not simply okay. And so our friend here uses Rise to Glory, and this took me by surprise, and this was a real turning point in the game. He got back a creature, and he got back that. Obviously, I wasn't, you don't expect, they've got this specific card in hand. With that said, I can't stop yawning. With that said, I was thinking, maybe I should have got rid of his graveyard, as we pick up a nice card there in the flyer. The flyer that makes you discard and is based on how many cards they've got in hand. We've still got Drag to the Underworld. I was still feeling pretty good. We were able to sacrifice, the creature to get the goat. Then he played this, Mogus's Favor. And that again gave his thing double strike. And now he's got a 3/1 flyer instead of a 1/2 flyer, and I'm thinking, it just got a lot worse. But that was an interesting choice as well. I decided not to remove the Envoy again, because obviously I've got this big flyer in hand, and I'm thinking, it's fine if I don't remove it. I've got this big flyer in hand. What does it matter? We have to sacrifice a creature, so I did sacrifice the goat, of course, because the goat wasn't doing too much. But you're going to see there Modus come in big in this game. This game is going to go on for a little while longer, which is nowhere near the longest game I've had in draft. Why can I not stop yawning? Jesus Christ. Yeah, it was not the longest game I've had in draft. I actually played a game with a green-white enchantment deck against a black-white enchantment deck where we drew all 40 cards, and neither of us were self-milling at all. That was a slog. But you see, right there was a massive turning point. He top-decked or had in hand a Banishing Light. I assume he top-decked it. And then also got this Discordant Piper out, which, when you combine it with the old Mogus, kind of put us in a very bad situation. And now I drew Gary. And now I was thinking, why now, of all times, did I draw Gary? And it was a real choice, but obviously I had to go for Gary because the horse can't block. And he has, 7 damage on board, and that's lethal. So I had to play Gary. And this Gary is going to stall him for a little while. I'm not sure why it stalled him as long as he did. But yeah, it stalled him for a little while. I'm not sure why he attacked there. But we were so close. We just needed a Gary just before. And here comes the mistake. I'm thinking, if I can find the right card, if I can, find another Gary, then I'm going to, we're going to be good. And then we picked up a land, but then also picked up our one flying creature. So I was thinking, okay, we're good. We picked up a flyer. That's good. You know, we'll exile the IRS from his graveyard, and we'll be fine. You know, we'll be good. Little did I know, we were not good. Well, actually, we managed to stall out and keep this game alive for a while. But he plays Omen of the Sun, and it's not good. It's not good. Yeah, we just didn't find what we needed. And this is a game where it felt like we were so close. We were so close to winning. We could just never quite get over the line. We drew maybe one too many lands top decked, but also the mistake with the lantern. As we bring back our horse lad here, but you know, for something that can't block, it's not great. But I'm still thinking at this point, you know, we got Gary. He can't really attack too much. We can't really attack him too much either, because he can just sacrifice it, and that is what he will do. But I was thinking, you know what, we're okay. You know, we were in a worse position when that envoy was out there. And I think what's going to happen soon is he is going to play, I can't remember exactly what the card is, but he is going to be able to use his graveyard again and that Omen of the Sun to bring back certain things. And that mod just really hurt us, because he was drawing more cards than us. I can't stop yawning. How weird is that? I'm not even that tired. Don't feel tired. And yet here I am, yawning away. Yawn. But anyway, we kept it competitive for quite a while. But Anthony here is going to bring back some things. He's going to play another Modus, which is just, you know, even worse, because those things really messed us up. We get Magic the Gathering a bit there, where we just kept drawing lands. We were running 17 lands, I believe. But then there's no point in not attacking with the horse, because he's obviously probably just going to sack it anyway. So at least we've sort of forced his hand. But the problem is, of course, he creates a goat. He gets to draw another card. And eventually that card draw was just going to be the death of us. I don't understand why he didn't attack with the two Mogai. But here we go. He had another Omen of the Dead to bring back his envoy, and then he plays the envoy, and guess what happens? He uses his graveyard to put back on the enchantment that he previously had. At least I'm pretty sure that's what he did. I'm fairly sure that is what he did. Yeah, he didn't attack that. I don't really know why. Temple Thief, I was thinking, you're okay. So again, we have to attack. He sacrifices it. He draws another card. It wasn't the best. Yeah, really wasn't the best. So I played my Temple Thief. But again, we had drawn probably one too many lands at this point. And he's able to drag my horse to the underworld, which I was fine with, by the way. It couldn't block anyway. I wasn't too bothered about that. But then here comes, I'm pretty sure, the killer turn. Yeah, he's going to enchant his envoy. And unfortunately, I just didn't have an answer. I didn't have an answer to that envoy. And that's a shame. But I would say about this deck that it was quite resilient. We didn't have too much removal. We had Drag to the Underworld. We had the enchantment that makes them sacrifice, as again we drew another land, and that was the game. So we drew one too many lands. They had specifically good removal just when we didn't need it. But we'll jump into the next one as well. But this is where it started going slightly sideways in the run. We're 3-1 at this point. You're still feeling pretty good. You're still, we lost a close game there. It wasn't a blowout. We did okay. But this one, we are going to... there it is again, the old lantern. And look, I've gone, okay, I've sort of learned from last time. I'm not going to play it straight away. I'm going to use that exile when it comes down. Or at least use it on something. Its initial effect as well. And I'm thinking, okay, Birth of Meletis. So we're probably looking at black-white enchantments. Joy of Joys. That didn't help him using Agonizing Remorse, because obviously, the double 4/3 is pretty good, especially when you get Gary out as well. We would have had, what, 8 damage, I think, from that then. Speaking of the boy himself, there he is. And I thought at this point, I might as well play it. He knows it's there. I might as well just use it. Which I was fine with, because the bigger mistake is going to happen next. Well, not next, but you'll see. As we have our Alicid of Life's Bounty. At this point, what are we looking at? We're looking at a pretty... I'm feeling good at this point. He hasn't shown too much of a threat. He's got a wall, which is, not great. And there's Temple Thief, a card that I really like. And put in the work for. Now, the 4/3 is an enchantment. So I thought I'd rather block with the 2/1 on the Thief, knowing that the Life's Bounty probably couldn't do too much to us. Did I block? I think I did block. And then, you got the choice of, do you want the extra Gary damage? I didn't think the 1 damage was really worth it, considering we only had pretty much Gary in hand. As you see, that kind of screwed a bit here as well. But you're going to see, we couldn't really get past his wall too well. He was playing, a lot of creatures with just kind of high defensive stats, as we got double Gary. And double Gary would be great if we would have kept the other one in as well. But considering we had double Gary in hand, I just thought, well, I might as well play it. Because I'm thinking at this point that's 4 damage. They're going down to 14. I'm thinking maybe we can attack off and they don't recognize it. They go down to 10, and then we play another Gary, and they go down to 4, and then, they're in trouble. They have to start blocking properly. So this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to, will you let me through? Did they? No, yeah, they don't think they did. And that I was kind of annoyed at, because, I've just played Gary, I don't have another one, I'm sure. And here comes the good old mistake. I drew a card with the Lantern. And that is going to become the biggest mistake, not from that Omen of the Dead. There is more to come. We've seen Omen of the Dead punishes already, but it was punishing again. So I get the Grim Physician out to get another Devotion for Gary next turn. I'm thinking, yeah, here we go. We're doing all right. Just get another creature next turn as well, and we'll be rock and rolling. But of course, we just drew more land, so I decided to play Gary right now for 7 damage. And I'm thinking, we're on 30 health. We're so far ahead. We're doing pretty well. We just didn't quite have the threats on board. If you look at the board, obviously he can pretty well block us out. But it's going to get a bit worse before it gets better, I'll tell you that. He plays this, and this is the crucial killer. Because if you see just there, what did he just put in his graveyard? He just put in his graveyard one of the best cards in the entire draft format. And then, of course, next turn, I'm sure you can see where this is going to go. He plays a land. He plays a second Omen of the Dead. And he brings back his enchantment friend. He plays his enchantment friend. and I just draw lands, and I was getting really frustrated at this point. I was like, Jesus Christ. So I decided to attack, probably out of frustration more than anything. We trade Death Touches, and then of course he's got Sentinel's Eyes and Marcus's Favor and Alseid of Life's Bounty, and very quickly this game was out of reach. We went from a somewhat decent area to just being completely outclassed by a card, essentially. Archon of Sun's Grace, I don't need to tell anyone, is a good card in draft, but it look at that. Look at how his board has changed in one turn, and we've gone from pressuring him to just completely out of the game. And at this point, I mean, I drew the inevitable end, but look how many creatures he's got. It's just completely worthless. And yeah, I mean, like, what? I'm gonna take 6 and 6, so 12 from the horses, unicorns, whatever they are, in the sky, and he's gonna gain 12 life. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, that's not gonna happen. That game, we were so close. We were so close in all of these games, really, the ones that we didn't win. But yeah, he basically just happened to have double what's it called, Omen of the Dead, and that punished us big time. Game 6, probably my favorite game of all of them, really, and you'll see why towards the end. But this is a really interesting game, as our owl hoots away at us. This one off to a bit of a slow start with our opponent, but still a fun game. So here we go. Off we are. I'll take a little drink as we start up. Playing against, you're going to see an interesting list. Some people playing some very greedy stuff. So looking at his hand here, I was thinking, okay, he's got Hydra's Growth, he's got Staggering Insight. So I was like, oh, okay, he's got that as well. So I was like, okay, he's got plenty of enchantments, so I'll just get rid of the creature. And I eventually decided on Siona, thinking Maya's Grasp could obviously kill the 4/1 easier. So that was, I think, the correct pick. And as we go forward in this game, you'll see it becomes quite an interesting game. It becomes closer than you might think it does, because we will end up Maya's grasping the 4/1 and killing it. And you might think that he struggles from there, but actually he manages to get to a stage with this little hornbeetle that he just played. He really manages to make us sweat, but it was a really fun game. So we will attack. And you're going to see a potential mistake that he made in this game. It's a difficult choice, and it's one that not everyone would make. But it was a mistake, I think. So yeah, we do Maya's Grasp that, because I thought he would probably prefer to put it on that at this point. And we will attack. Timurat was a wonderful card in this matchup, of course, as well, though. For the exile effect, it stopped him from attacking early on and dealing too much damage to us. But also, he was constantly on the back foot in this game as we were applying constant pressure. But you're going to see now he is going to play the Hydra's Growth, I'm pretty sure. And we also know he's got potential hexproof on the creature as well, which makes it even worse. Oh no, yeah, he played this, which I found a baffling choice, because it didn't really fit with anything else he was playing. The Temple adds Devotion, and it also grants you extra life if you contain a god or demigod. But obviously, maybe he had a bunch in his deck, but we didn't see them. It seemed just an odd inclusion. But yeah, we're starting to pile on the pressure, and I'm wondering if you can see where this one might be going. So he gives it lifelink, and then he also puts a Hydra's Growth on it. But I'm pretty sure that he doesn't attack. And there was his mistake. Because now we get to play this, which has Death Touch. And obviously we can't attack into a 5/5 with lifelink. That would be obviously pretty stupid. But now he gets another 4/1 out. And he at this point is obviously just waiting. He's building up his big boy. But I'm hoping you can see where I'm going to go with this game. Because there's a little card in our hand called Gary. And as I say, that's 7 damage. It's actually 9 damage. So what I'm going to do is pray. And I'm going to pray that he waits and makes a mistake, which he does. Because on his next turn, he's going to refuse to attack. And that's going to cost him the game. I mean, I can totally see it from his point. And to expect Gary would be an odd choice. As I was weighing up my options here, I was thinking, will he attack next turn? Should I Gary now, get him down to 1, and then pray and hope that I find removal and can find a way to win? I eventually decide, no, I think he'll make the mistake. So I played Mogis for a final one. He doubles the counters to make it a 13-13. And at this point, obviously, you're thinking, oh no. But he's going to make the mistake of not attacking. And obviously, to count up, well, you don't need to count up. Timrit's showing you that I've got 8 devotion. But to expect Gary is obviously something maybe, you wouldn't expect straight away. But to win with a 10 devotion, and at this point where it paused, I was like, oh, please don't have lifelink. Please don't have any life gain. But, yeah. Is there a more satisfying way of winning a game of Magic than Gary for 10? And that's the reason I went with mono black, even though some of my blue cards were really good. I mean, a mono blue Thassa's Oracle Mill would have been even more fun, potentially, considering I got 2 of them. If I would have known I got 2 of them off the start, I might have gone complete mono blue Mill. But getting 2 Garys and the deck we did, 2 Timmerids, 2 Garys, you're feeling pretty good about it. We could have got Underworld Breach maybe for 3 black as well, but other than that, yeah, this was a really solid deck. So we go into our next game against QT McWhiskers. An interesting game. He's this game that card on the left that I'm highlighting there, Enemy of Enlightenment, that's going to come up a bit. But you could see he has a bit of a bigger threat in his hand, and I was just checking out the rest of the hand. I obviously knew what I was going to take. I'm going to take the Phoenix of Ash. And Agonizing Remorse thankfully does exile it, which I was just reading and checking that it did exile. But it does exile it, so already Phoenix of Ash was then unplayable for him. And getting rid of that big threat early on, because Phoenix of Ash it was the first card I ever got in a draft of Theros, and it's a really good card. But he scried 2 to the top, which obviously wasn't ideal for us. But I was still feeling pretty good about our chances at this point. We just got rid of his biggest threat. And Temple Thief, what a little card this is. Temple Thief, eh? It just does work. It just does so much work. He attacks. He had the Give Hexproof in his hand, and I could see it, so I obviously wasn't willing to trade into Temple Thief because I knew he couldn't block it. And we're going to do something that's a bit clever here. Because what I'm going to do is play a good old Tiramet, and then I'm going to Maya's Grasp, the 1/3. But of course, he's not going to let me Maya's Grasp the 1/3. He's going to give it Hexproof, surely, right? Well, yeah, he does. He does give it Hexproof. Spoiler alert, as you'll see now. But obviously, we know that we've got Elspeth's Nightmare in hand, and what does Elspeth's Nightmare hit? It, of course, hits 2 or less power, which, guess what? He's got 2 or less power. So I was still feeling pretty confident about where we were now, and he had a bit of a slow turn here. I don't think he did anything other than he sacks the Omen of the Sea and Scries, so we were feeling pretty good about where we were. And yeah, I just wanted to get rid of that thing, and get Elspeth Nightmare taken. Take a look at his hand as well. Pretty sure he just scries with the Omen of the Sea by sacrificing it. He actually sacrifices this, which is the correct play as well. But it was all the same to me. Yeah, so there you go. He sacrificed it away. And I felt kind of, cheeky, like, hey, I just got rid of both of those cards. It was a 1-for-1 trade overall, but, I felt pretty good. I felt good about how we ordered it as well, because, of course, if I would have ordered it the other way and gone Nightmare first, he makes it 2-4, then the -3/3 does pretty much nothing. Doesn't kill it. I mean, it would make it, fairly useless card, but you'd still have the body. And then this thing is going to be where this game goes a bit crazy. Because he's going to go a bit crazy with this thing. It's such an odd card. As we see, he's got another one. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah, so he's going to have another one in his hand. So I decided, okay, let's attack whilst it's a 2-2. The discard effect on this is bonkers as well. And I decided to keep everything in hand because I wanted to simply discard the land here and not get rid of anything else. And I was thinking I could play Inevitable End on one of them. He'll have to sacrifice that one. I probably could have played it that turn, to be fair. That was a mistake. I should have done that. I should have played it earlier. And yeah, he's going to attack with a 3-3. In my mind, for some reason, I was like, well, he'll have to sacrifice both of them, which of course he did not, because he can just sacrifice the one that was enchanted. So again, though, we attack before we use our cards so that Tiramet can get in. Temple Thief again doing the work. But this game is going to become real close, real quick, and you'll see the maths line up pretty soon here because unfortunately the triggers on those, and that's why this was a mistake as well, because of course he got to make us discard both cards in our hand, which was of course a mistake. He actually got to play that as well. And then I was looking to exile something here, but then I realized I'm the only one with something in my graveyard, so I ended up paying for that anyway. But obviously it didn't matter because we had nothing in hand. So yeah, he ends up with a 5/5 flying, and I'm on 15 health, and he of course is on 7 health, and I've got a 2 damage creature on the board. So obviously at this point he's winning the race. And I can't win the race. But thankfully things take a bit of a twist for us. He kind of got Magic the Gathering here because I'm pretty sure he just draws land from here to now. Now Tiramet obviously is a great draw because that gave us the extra turn, because with the life came from Tiramet we were able to survive an extra turn, which I just decided to do now before anything spooky happens. So now we're ahead by 1, and if we can attack with Tiramet, then he's really low, so maybe he can't even attack. And yeah, he just got another land, so we got kind of lucky. And then I got that, the good old something that's turned up quite a few times. So I attack with Temple Thief, and he's now fairly low. We're doing pretty well. Temple Thief has been a really cool card for me. I tried to submit 0, but apparently you can't. So I just got rid of the land. And of course it drew a card praying that we wouldn't get rid of a Gary to a discard. But we just got a land. So that was fine. So in he comes. He's got his 5/5 again, but of course he can't attack. I'm fairly sure he just gets another land. He does. Yeah, and at this point obviously we've kind of won. He needs to remove that Temple Thief. But look who it is. We drew our own. And at this point, obviously we've won. I mean, I say obviously, he could obviously wipe the board, but saying obviously a lot right there. And he just plays a Devourer of Memory, but obviously that's not enough, and we win the game. Thanks to our good old Temple Thief. Temple Thief is such a... On the draft tracker that I do and use sometimes to pick cards, they have Temple Thief as like, like a 1.5, and I just can't disagree more. I think that card is at least a 2.5. It just does so much work. It's a 2/2 that is unblockable by a large portion of things, especially considering things get enchanted a lot and things are enchantment creatures a lot. Temple Thief is something that just does work completely. And what I really liked about this deck is we got to show off different cards and how they can be used. And Temple Thief is one, and we obviously got Gary for 10, and even that 4/3 in that game actually, where we got the lifelink, the 4/3 with the lifelink that is normally just a complete filler card, with the double black devotion and being a 4/3, and when we gave it lifelink, that was pretty clutch. That kind of saved us that game. I drew Agonizing Remorse so many times. Look, I even mulliganed this hand, I'm pretty sure, and I just get it again. It was always in our hand. This was an interesting choice, and I didn't really know what to get rid of, but I saw Tyramit, and I thought, I've got to keep Gary if I've got Tyramit. And you have to keep Agonizing Remorse just to know what they're playing. I'm so sorry for the yawning, by the way. I just cannot stop. But anyway, here we go. We see the Eidolon of Philosophy, and this will be, spoiler alert, the last game of this run. And here we had an interesting choice. Look at this: Devourer of Memory or Elspeth Conquers Death. Now, he was way off Elspeth Conquers Death in terms of land, and Devourer of Memory is such a good card, and you'll see how good of a card it is in this game. But I just thought, I can deal with the Devourer of Memory. I've got more creature removal than I do for something like Elspeth Conquers Death, and you never expect the game to pan out like it does in this one. You'll see that Devourer of Memory becomes kind of a crucial card in this game. Yeah. Now, this game also kind of highlights, and we've seen that as well before in some of our other losses, that Gary is it's a bit of a win more card. It's like it's not a bad 5-drop like on its own, but it's something you want to play if you haven't got much else going for you. 5-mana 2/4. It's like you better win the game, and it does sometimes, but sometimes it does nothing. Pretty much, it just sits there. And this, my kids, is why you will want to be playing Devourer of Memory in draft, because it's really good. What stunned me in this is a lot of our games were played against people who were playing 3-color, quite greedy decks, and sometimes that works for them, and sometimes it doesn't. But in this case, it happened to work for them. Here I made a little mistake. I should have played Gary first, because it meant that I couldn't attack because I didn't want to lose the devotion. And so yeah, we did make a little mistake because I didn't want him to block the 2/1 and lose my devotion. See, he would have got Elspeth Conquers Death down now if that was the case. But here we go. Double Devourer of Memory, and I'm already certain you can see why this didn't go so hot for me. It actually gets even worse, as you'll see. This guy had quite... He was playing a very... I imagine the games he lost was because of land, because you're playing Elspeth Conquers Death, you'll see soon. He's playing, Devourer of Memory, so black is quite important on a 2-drop, and he's also playing another card you'll see pretty soon. He was playing a pretty greedy deck, and I'm sure that a lot of his losses came from greed. In fact, I was playing... that's something I have noticed, and I think is a mistake. I think generally stick to 2 colors. Generally, unless you've got like 2 Dryad of the Groves that gives you lands of all colors, I think generally stick to 2 in draft. And that wall was such a problem. But I was feeling, feeling okay right now, because we get 6 mana. I'm gonna play this big flyer, and we're gonna dominate. He's gonna play Omen of the Sun, which kind of sucked, because I think he kills our Temple Thief with it. And as I say, Temple Thief, it's a good card. Now that's fine. We're trading a 2 mana for a 3 mana card, an Omen of the Sun, of course. But it didn't feel great. But I was feeling still pretty good, because with this big boy, I'm thinking, here we go. But anytime I played him, it just seemed like the opponent just magically had an answer, and that was his. He was turned him into a little useless 0/1 frog that did tap his black, and so I was thinking of sending him a little oops, but of course that wasn't his mistake, so I didn't. And that stopped him from attacking and ending this game even earlier than it needed to. So I did attack with those 3. That wall was a real big problem, actually, and both of Melitis came up big for him. I play my horse, but I think soon enough you're going to see... yeah, this was a nice turn by him as well. He flicks of fate his Omen of the Sun, which gives him 2 more 1/1s and the life gain. And the life gain is nothing to be sniffed at, because that kept between the birth of Melitis life gain and life gain from that, he gained 6, so he'd be on 5 right now, and in a bit of trouble, of course. But soon you will see how this game turned around. And when I talk about greed, playing double white, Elspeth Conquers Death, and Devourer of Memory with the black, you're gonna see right now extra greed, because we're about to see double blue. See if you can recognize what card it might be that's double blue. Yep, Thrix the Sudden Storm just came out of nowhere to literally ruin my day. Now, I knew he had something that he could play at any time, just based off how the arena client works, but that pretty much ended the game, as I'm sure you can imagine, with his Devourer of Memories being unblockable. I mean, I just had to go for the inevitable end on it, but if you look at his board, of course, he's got the 1/1 useless token, he's got the 1/2 that he doesn't really need anyway, he's got the 0/4 wall. It was like I was never really threatening his Thrix Sudden Storm. And he just puts cherry on the cake here with Glimpse of Freedom, gets rid of his top card, which makes them unblockable, which is why they are such a good card. And yeah, in he went, and I just didn't have an answer for it. I just never had an answer for it. Maybe this deck was lacking a bit of removal, but I thought it was decent for the removal it had. We could have used with the target opponent sacrifice a creature or enchantment. I think that's quite a good card. And here I'm kind of recognizing that I've lost. I did try and attack anyway, but I kind of accepted my fate at this point. I couldn't really do much to stop him, and this game is unfortunately over. And so with that, we see, he's putting the icing on the cake. I just wanted to check, is he still sane, and don't lose till you lose. And then I was like, oh well, I guess I can gain a life. Oh, will that put me over the edge? No. Oh no. But overall, a pretty good showing for our mono black deck. We went 5-3 in the end. As I can see there, obviously, 5-3 to finish is pretty decent, I think. I don't think I haven't gone negative yet in a draft in Theros. I've been doing pretty well. I think the important thing to, of course, note is to stick with everything you got. As we see what we got there, what do we get? We got Tyrmec Calls the Dead, and that will put an end to this video. So thank you for watching so much. I've been Chris.